this whole being an artist who's a Christian thing, it can become, it's not that it becomes blurry, but you want to make a difference in the world. Fantasia said it best. Someone had asked her in an interview about why doesn't she just bring herself wholeheartedly to gospel, because that's clearly what her roots are. And think about it, when she sings, it doesn't matter what Fantasia sings, even from her days on Idol, it does not matter what she sings. She is clearly, singing from that gospel experience, that church experience. Any and everything she sings has that, catch the Holy Spirit feel to it. And so her response to this interviewer was, well, I've thought about that quite often. And my thing is this. For one, when I do my shows, my R&B shows, I always ensure that I interject a great deal of gospel into it, because that is who I am and that is where I'm from. And so people expect that from someone like me, because I'm a church girl. These are the words Fantasia is basically saying. And she says that as a gospel artist, as a Christian artist, the only audience you have truly is the church folk. And the fact is, if you're in church, the gospel has already reached you. And so the most you can really do is enjoy the music, enjoy the word, enjoy the ministry. The people who are not saved need to be brought into the church. And Fantasia basically said that even though she's singing R&B music, she interjects a great deal of gospel into her shows, into her sets, because it is a part of who she is, and it is her way of reaching the people who don't go to church, And she said it's been more than once, many a time, where people come to her show and catch the Spirit. They are saved, because and realistically, even when Fantasia is singing R&B and she does her riffs and her runs, you can tell, like, her vocals, her voice is anointed, So that interview has always sort of sat right here, because I feel that's my intent, I guess. Sometimes I think that's why my life in art has been so difficult. Like, I know I'm limited because there are certain things that I'm just not willing to do as an actor. And basically I function as best as I can via the Holy Spirit. If the Holy Spirit, convicts me against something, then I'm just not going to do it. And I'd be a liar if I said I've always been like that. There was a long time where I kept saying to myself, it's okay for me to cuss in this show and to do this and to do that and sing about that. At the end of the day, the Lord knows who I really am. No. You have to put on your Christian garment and show the world who you really are, which means you have to deny a lot of things. And so with the likes of someone like Lecrae, like, I'm not criticizing him by any means, and I don't think he's doing anything. Lecrae is a bad example, because I feel that the issue for someone like Lecrae is that he says, I'm not a Christian artist, I'm an artist. It's not even that, I don't think. He went so far as to say in an interview that he is a hip-hop artist. That's what he wants to be seen as. He's a hip-hop artist. His music is just clean, So you're basically saying less than, I'm an artist who's a Christian. And I think that's the issue people really have. So Lecrae probably wasn't the best example, but he was a great example to show where things can just go avidly wrong. Michelle Williams, for example. I own every single Michelle Williams album. Her albums have absolutely blessed me. She has some great Christian music, and she gets a lot of flack for her coming from Destiny's Child. But people forget, she was a church girl and was always a church girl through Destiny's Child. She was a church girl before Destiny's Child. And even while in Destiny's Child, while Beyonce and Kelly were wearing the more revealing outfits, Michelle still held on to her pants. Granted, I did hear her say in an interview that, she asked to wear the pants. She wasn't too fond of her legs and things like that. But still, it's I don't know how to put it, but so with Michelle, she's someone who I think is a better example of an artist who's Christian, which is ironic because when she's not a part of Destiny's Child, she strictly sings gospel. As a matter of fact, she is the best example. Destiny's Child is a huge group. I used to go so hard for Destiny's Child. As a matter of fact, I think I cut school once to go see Destiny's Child at the Virgin Megastore. I totally just aged myself, but it's all good. But each person, Beyonce, Kelly, Michelle, they've garnered something different from their experience in Destiny's Child. Beyonce has definitely become, Queen Bee, as they call her. Kelly went through it. She went through some severe depressions, but eventually, her solo albums began to do really, really well, and she really, found her own. Michelle actually tried a secular album, and the funny thing is, her secular album was still clean. Like, she didn't sing about sex or any of those things. In fact, she had a song called The Greatest, which easily could be a Christian song if you listen to it properly, And it's so funny. I remember Michelle, with that one album that was secular, she said that she, as grown as she is, she still needed her mom's, approval to do an album that wasn't Christian. It's one thing to be a part of Destiny's Child where, that's already set up and it's really just sort of changed your life. But that experience is what brought her to the church folk. The church folk knew who Michelle was before Destiny's Child, and Michelle came back. She said, this is where my heart is. My heart is in the church. My heart is in Christian music. And so I'm coming to you. I'm coming back. And I'm doing this. And it is what it is. And so Michelle is someone that I would call an artist who is a Christian because she still, she still takes part in, films or TV shows that are not necessarily Christian based, but don't devalue her morals as a Christian. Does that make sense? I don't know exactly where to go with this. It's like I know what I'm saying, but it's like, I guess there really is no definitive answer here. There's an obvious difference between a Christian artist and an artist who is Christian, but it's what you put out there, I guess. Like, there's that other artist, I think his name is N.E. or something like that. I would never know that I don't know much about him. I've heard his music and I see that the Christian kids love him. He puts himself out there as an artist who's a believer. And I think that might be a bit different from being an artist who is a Christian. So you said there's so many, it's like you're, you know what the problem is at the end of the day, I'll call it what it is. There are a lot of artists who are trying to serve two masters, you know. And you just can't. It's, I mean, you can be completely honest. I do honestly believe that the Lord will convict us sometimes to do things that are completely out of the norm. You know, Michelle Williams, I think, is that. She was brought into Destiny's Child. She held her ground. She didn't lose herself. You know, she didn't get lost in drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, from what I understand. And once Destiny's Child came to an end, she's still singing, but she's singing the gospel. She's promoting Jesus Christ. She's very open and honest about her love of Christ. And there are a multitude of Destiny's Child fans who probably found Christ because of Michelle Williams, you know? Whitney Houston, for example. Now, Whitney Houston was always very vocal about her love of God. We all know that she's another girl who grew up in church. We all are also very much so aware of her experience, of her getting lost in drugs, in alcohol and things like that. We are all aware of that. But she was surrounded by Christian folk who continued to pray with her and for her. I understand that she did find herself in the end. You know, unfortunately, you know, what happened. But she was not by any means as, you know, lost as she was in the years prior to 2009, you know. It's a task. It doesn't have to be a task, you know, it's an experience. Definitely an experience. It's so interesting. It's like I guess there wasn't an answer that was meant to be here. You know, I really just wanted to converse. This is one of those things where you just converse about a subject matter, and I guess I sort of wanted to converse about this for myself also. I do always say that I am an artist, excuse me, who is Christian, and I've always felt that just made sense. It does make sense. People get it, you know, but I can see now how that can easily become confusing. So I really have to do a lot of soul searching and a lot of prayer to really just, I don't know. So I didn't realize how long this video became, but I'll probably just edit this into 2 parts, because like even me, I have difficulty sitting down and watching somebody's, you know, 25 or beyond longer videos. But I do hope that you have watched this video, and if you have, thank you so much. Again, please subscribe if you haven't. Again, don't feel pressured to subscribe. Since you've watched this video, watch another 2 or 3. Decide if you like my content and subscribe. And if you already like this video, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. It would really do me a service. And yeah, thank you for watching. God bless.